Hey, 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 it's the lounge, you guys.
Greetings, good people.
Akachi Charades.
Mhm.
So, anyway, the last podcast we talked about shifting, how to shift from one dimension in our lives to the next dimension by way of trauma and how we had to deal with trauma and get out of it. But today, what are we going to talk about, Mr. Lamb?
Let's talk about divisiveness in melanated people and all people, but specifically our people, like the stuff that's been going on with Cat Williams, and
Mm-hmm.
where it's I can't say that I don't like it what he's doing because I believe that all of us wanted to have a fall in the selling out, or we all believe to some degree that people sell their soul dealing with
Mm-hmm.
dealing with film entertainment. That's like something that goes unheard, right? It's the
Yeah,
elephant in the room
it's, it's,
when you
it's
deal with
definitely
big
the
entertainment.
elephant. Yeah, it's definitely the elephant in the room. I think when we're talking entertainment and we're talking about how it affects our community and how we're reacting to it, this is a conversation that needs to be had because it kind of dwindles in to who we are as a people and how we treat each other, right? So, first of all, I guess we can start with Cat Williams. The interview to me, I think was I think he was trying to clear the record, you know, and I've heard the word exposing a lot. And it's funny how we say exposing versus just being truthful, you know, and I guess when you're being truthful, it exposes you, I guess. But in doing that, I feel like, you know, you were talking about these last couple of weeks, how we are going into dark matter, which, funny thing is, Cat Williams has a show called Dark
And I said that before the show came out for the
Matter.
record.
He's been talking about that for like weeks. So, uh, and I think the interesting thing about dark matter is there is a lot of people that are going to be exposed at that time, right,
Right,
babe?
right.
And there are a lot of people who, if you're not dealing with your trauma or you're not dealing with your shadow,
You're gonna have an interface with who you are and who the person that you don't see.
mm-hmm,
They say that God sends people into your life as a reflection of the parts of you that you can't see on your own.
mm-hmm,
So sometimes somebody can be getting on your nerves, and you had to ask yourself, "Damn, why is this person bothering me?" And then, do I act like that? Did I
mm-hmm,
attract this person here? Did I bring this in my life? So, yeah. So there's like a come to Jesus moment
mm-hmm.
with these celebrities and what's been going on hidden, the degree of compromise that they made for money, for positions in film, for entertainment.
Even you said, even with uh, the church, what's happening with the church, what's happening, you know, with I think T.D. Jakes, something's going on with him, and this whole P Diddy thing, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
something that happened to William Murphy, and how the Watch Night service went, you know, and how people were saying, you know, and that it's inappropriate for the church to act a certain way, and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things that people are just like throwing out there. I mean, from
And
Oprah to just everybody. There's like throw them under the bus. Throw them under the bus. Just throw them under the bus. It's just a lot going on. So I think today is a good time to kind of talk about what's going on in the world as a whole, not necessarily, you know, putting out any judgment by what people are doing.
but it's interesting what I just not to interrupt you.
Go ahead, baby.
It's interesting that a lot of this stuff we already heard years and years ago. Cat Williams was saying this stuff. Jaguar, right? She then came out talking about these situations.
Yeah, Jaguar,
But
she be telling it.
but the thing is now is that now the world has brought it. You know, everything's about vibration, about frequency. You can tell somebody something. Hey, quit smoking cigarettes, and the time for them to quit is whenever they're in the hospital with cancer. Now they got to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the temperature or the frequency of the planet is now at that point where they've been telling you. Now it's time for them to see. It's
Yeah.
it's ready. The environment, the temperature is just right to expose certain things. You know, but we also have to be careful in doing that because there's also a vibration in talking about other melanated people.
Yeah.
Putting your hands on other melanated people. Like that stuff has to stop because there's been too much of that. And you got to be real careful at this particular time on how we direct energy because you have children who are also seeing these videos and watching this stuff whose energy is going to get on that vibration too. So that's also a form of mass manipulation of polytricks, things that can take a certain energy and kind of direct it to where they may want the energy to go versus it becoming a personal journey for you out of your own darkness or an interface for you. You know.
So let's go ahead and talk about it. What were your thoughts on the Cat Williams interview with Shay Shay?
Cat Williams, I love Cat Williams. You know that. He always been my favorite comedian before he got to talking about people. But he been talking about people, so.
And I'm going to put on my glasses real quick because my eyes are bothering me and I can't see.
And even with Cat Williams, you know, Cat Williams is in that Virgo energy too, so I didn't even know that. But maybe that's why I liked him so much.
I'm a Virgo moon. Sagittarius.
So the Virgo energy is about that business like that. Yeah, but my first thoughts were it was good to see Cat Williams have a platform, a big platform to speak the way he did. That's why I think so many people chimed in because you always catch little clips of him saying stuff, yeah, this dude's doing. But for him to have like a major platform like that and he was able to speak and be real about things that, because you know the truth for somehow has become too hurtful to people to where people don't want to hear the truth no more. It's like somebody shot at you, like people want to be rocked to sleep almost.
So do you think people are just too ultra sensitive right now?
Oh yeah. I mean, for what he said, you know, the universe always seeks balance. When something's done unjust, you go to court, you take somebody to court, you try to figure out, you settle out of court for a lawsuit. The universe, that's actually something that manifests from the universe. You know, it seeks balance. And for those things that have been done to a lot of these comedians, artists, these things been out of balance. And,
for a while.
Right. So it's come time for somebody to serve them. Like, it had to come back to them. And now we're seeing on a collective, you know, where the world has gotten too out of balance with unjust-ish. Too much to where it's become where you're immersed in it, like it's up to your face in it. So now people are wanting to speak out about stuff because you can't hold it in no more.
Well, you know, and I agree with you. I kind of felt like I felt two ways, babe. I felt like this is a time, you know how you grew up hearing what's in the dark always comes to the light. It's the light. It's the light that has happened, and for him to just say that, I think he was really just trying to set the record straight because there had been so much chitter chatter, so much, you know, and feeling like I can no longer let you off the hook.
Right.
You know, like I have to go ahead and tell people, no, this is what really happened. You know,
right.
And sometimes what really happens is from your perspective, you know, but for everybody to come behind and kind of verify or validate what he was saying, except for I think who was it? Ice Cube. I think Ice Cube validated, but just kind of said one particular part where he was like, well, you know, everybody had to audition. And you know, and for me, I'm in the film industry and I'm in front and behind the camera, and I know how that goes. Like, unless they handpicked you specifically for a role and called you or your agent or manager and told them, hey, we want her or him for this particular role and they don't have to audition, that's one thing. But outside of that, you're going to audition, or what we call read. You're going to read for the part, you know. And And when you read for the part, it's a lot of people reading. And a lot of times, what happens is you may read for one part, but they see that, oh, you know what? Maybe not for this one, but I can see you more in this role. And I think that's kind of like maybe what happened. It's what it sounds like from what Ice Cube said. It sounded like that's what the situation was.
So let me say this to you then. So how do you feel about Monique being in the same position and speaking out previously, prior to this, maybe a few years ago, and it really turned on her, kind of, versus Cat Williams pointing out the same things that are going on in the industry, and him having a different experience than Monique did.
That's a woman-man thing. And I'm sorry, I know guys are going to be like, no, not, baby, that is what it is. How women are taken versus how men are taken are two different ways. Women will stand up and will say, hey, no, this is the deal. You're not paying me what I'm worth. You're asking me to go do this stuff, and you're not going to pay me for it. Baby, I got work to do. I don't need to be working for free. If I wanted to volunteer my time, then I would tell you, yes, I can. But if I choose not to, then no. But then when we start doing that and start speaking up for how we feel, then the next thing to know is, oh, you're hard to work with. Or are you a B? You know what I'm saying? You're a whole B. Are you just, you're a troublesome person, you causing too much chaos or stuff like that, or you loudmouth and all that kind of stuff, when really all we're doing is doing the same thing that Cat is. It said, no, let's set the record right. Monique is an Academy Award winner. Period, point blank.
Right.
She is due, as well as all the other actresses who have really paid their dues. These black women have paid. Viola Davis, Angela Bassett, Taraji P. Henson, Regina King. All of these people have paid their dues and should be getting money that is comparable to their white counterparts. You know what I'm saying? The talent is just the same, if not better. So why isn't it that we have to always, fight for that? And then when we do fight for it, we're called troublesome or bothersome or a B.
Let me flip that.
Or angry black woman.
I gotta flip it.
What you gotta say?
What I have to say about that is that there's a story that I tell you all the time. When I was little, we had a big German Shepherd out back, and he used to run in the same pattern across the backyard, so much that the chain killed all the grass, and it was just a dirt pattern there. One day, the chain broke, and he did not break out of that fence. He walked the same pattern till he had to come. He didn't even know the chain broke. So my point in saying that is that the independent world is coming. Film independent. Like Cat Williams, he told you he did it the hard way. He came up the hard way. He booked his own shows. He owns all of his own stuff, his own special. He owns everything. Being an entrepreneur in America is not easy. There's not a lot of support. So these big actors, if you see this, what is it that's going to stop you from putting your own films out and making all the money and building these studios? Like, collectively, we have to start moving like that. And that's why I say that you have to pay attention to the algorithm of, okay, now it's time to check everybody. Your shadows. But we have to look and say, okay, this stuff is breaking down because of the industry we were in. The industry vibrates in such a way that it makes you, however you go into that industry, you could be the most positive person, but the vibration of that industry is going to change your vibration into a person who compromises his morals.
Yeah.
That's what the industry will do to you, because that's what you're dealing with. So a lot of the complaining and a lot of things that's going on, you're dealing with people who worked hard to do what they did, but there came a pathway, a crossroads to where someone said, hey, put this dress on. And you may have looked at it like, oh, okay, that's what I got to do to keep going. That is the industry. And I'm not taking no credit from no black person, period. I have nothing derogatory to say about nobody black at all because of our struggle in America. But you have to be careful of the way that what's going on now, and be able to look at the flip side of the coin. Okay, yeah, we're arguing, we're addressing certain things, we're addressing certain issues. However, who's benefiting from that? Who's going to escape? Who's going to get out and become independent? Who's going to put these film studios up and put these standing sets up? Who's going to go in that direction in film?
That's what I will say about Tyler Perry. He owns his stuff. He talks about ownership all the time. And regardless of what anybody thinks about him, regardless, and I won't get in all of that, you cannot say that man does not know business. He knows business. And he was the one who said, oh, you won't accept me if I don't say Jesus, or if I do this, or no, if I say Jesus, or if I do whatever his way was. He was like, well, then you won't accept me at all. So whatever his stipulations were, he stood by them. And I think that us as a people, that's how we have to be. And in order to do that, you have to understand your value. You have to understand your worth. And you have to be on top of your craft. Very, very well. You have to know your stuff inside and out. You cannot come half-stepping. You cannot come with an ego, yet your skill set is that low. Like, your skill set should be what leads you into the room, because you know what the heck you're doing. Right. You know what the heck you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And you can go in there and you can say, listen, I know what I bring to the table. I know the people that I have that are behind me, that are helping me on this. And you can come and you can talk numbers. And if they don't want to give you the money, then guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to find that money. And that money could be within our own community.
And also, to tap in on what she's saying is that we as talented, gifted people, as melanated people, we have to understand that wealth has absolutely nothing to do with money.
Booyah!
Wealth is what you have inside of you.
Yes.
Someone put a price on your gift and who you are as a person. And for yourself, you got to love your craft enough, your gift, your talent, be it singing, writing, acting, producing, directing, boxing, whatever it is. You have to be satisfied with what the Creator gave you inside of yourself, to where you love it enough to where you can walk away from anything with what you have inside of you.
Indeed.
And when you learn that, when you learn to be satisfied like that, no one's going to control you. Like, I write scripts, I write music.
I write books.
If my stuff's not up to where I want it, look, I'm gonna hold that for myself. If I feel like I gotta sell my stuff and change what God gave me to suit you, it's just not gonna happen with me, because I'm satisfied with writing and enjoying what the Creator has done for me, versus I do want my stuff to come out now and put it on these platforms. That's going to happen. But understand something. I'm not going to compromise who I am as a person to get my stuff out there. If it does not happen, good. Yeah, I got a family. I got successful children in my life. I got a wife. I got a life that I'm going to live and die with. And these people are going to remember me and who I was and how I made them feel.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to be able to walk away from stuff, black folks. If something ain't serving your highest good,
let it go.
No, you don't got to do it.
Let it go. It ain't even worth your time. It's not worth your time, because it's going against your principles and your morale and everything that you have, that you stand for. It's going against that. And once you start going against that, trust me, your foundation will get shaky and you'll start crumbling. And everything that you've worked for, everything that it will all come tumbling down, because you didn't stay true to you. And I don't care how long it takes. I do not care. Listen, some people didn't get to where, I think, like, some people, like actors and actresses, a lot of us have been working for years before anyone even knew that, that you even existed. You can pop off on a show and they'll be like, oh my gosh, she's so good. Where has she been? Oh, she's been working for 15 years. You just didn't know it because it was little itty bitty roles and this, that. She did a commercial here. She did an industrial there. She did some plays here or whatever. But she's been at this for 15 years. You're just now getting to see her. She just finally got her breakout role, you know.
And also, like, with entertainment, I'm not dismissing or, you know, lowering anything. Like, if you got products you selling from shampoos, from certain creams and herbs and jewelry, like all of that stuff is your gift. Like, a lot of people who do it on a small level, like I see painters on the sidewalk selling paintings. Like, that stuff to me is the most beautiful thing when I see people who love their craft enough where they sit out all day and make a couple dollars selling their stuff. Like, you have to understand that that's like one of the highest achievements that you can have within yourself, to be serving with the gift that God gave you, to be getting that thing out there by any means. If 10 people get it, you touch 10 people versus 1,000,000 people.
Yeah.
So we got to learn to just, you know, be satisfied with what the Creator gave us. And because the reason why I say this is that in most cases, these situations that came up in film all come from us trying to get money, us externalizing power, externalizing wealth. This is how all of these situations derive. You came to a crossroad where you think you needed more, or someone was using you to promote you to make other black folks be more competitive and think they need more. See, that's still a whole nother level of promotions. That's a whole nother algorithm that they throw at you, where I'm gonna be better than him. I'm gonna be more competitive than him. I'm trying to get 50 million, and then you got people down here who can't even pay their rent. So we have to start getting balanced with that way of thinking. Like, we got to get off that algorithm.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see like black folks talking bad about each other, putting their hands on each other. Like, we got to grow out of that phase to where now we trying to pull each other to the side and have conversations about things, because now the world is changing, where I believe that platform is coming soon, but there's a few more bridges that got to be broken down, and there's a few more agents out there, or people who are puppets, that need to be taken down for us to be able to see the industry for what it is, for us to be the controllers of the black energy and the image that we want people to see us as, because someone's been painting the image of who we are for ages. Like,
and it's not us.
Right.
It's not us. But I will say, on top of that, there is a level of responsibility that we have as a people. And I think that we just don't want to accept it, and we're like, nope, I'm dealing with me. I can't worry about you. I can't worry about you. And true that. But when it comes down to representation, and we always talking representation, because we will be the first to talk about, they didn't have no black people in the Oscars. They didn't have no black people in it. We the first. We will call them out. So if we will call someone else out on things that we feel like are being unjust to us, then why can't we call each other out? Why can't we call each other out in a way that is not disrespectful, but in a way that is like, hey, brother, let me pull you to the side. Let me talk to you. Listen, when you did this, when you said this, or when you lied about this or whatever, like that wasn't cool. Why can't pull each other to the side and, talk about it or whatever, and actually be truthful to each other, and just trying to become better as a people with communication, I guess you could say. And then also have a life of integrity. Why is it that we have such a problem with integrity? With integrity. Let's talk about Cat Williams again. When you have people, I don't know that comedy world where you guys are, it's hard to get jokes, and I know that people write for people or whatever, but I mean, people have been throwing out receipts. Receipts have been flying everywhere on the internet about these jokes, right? So here's an integrity thing here, to where, okay, Cat's decision is, all right, since y'all gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna have to throw it out there. I'm gonna have to let the people know, and that's what he did. But he shouldn't have even had to get to that point. He didn't
Yeah,
even have to get to that. He shouldn't have had to do that. It should have been a on-site conversation with these people who have done that and say, hey, that ain't cool. And even before that happened, you should care enough about your fellow comedians, or your comrades, your colleagues, or whatever, than stealing their stuff. Like,
what happened is that we got off of the code.
Baby.
Anybody from the streets know
Switch.
the code.
Code switching.
We don't have no code no more. Like, we don't have no. You get checked for a lot of the stuff that's happening in the industry, but we don't have no code no more. We don't have. Hey, don't do that. Hey, don't disrespect. Even at the Oscars with Will Smith smacking Chris Rock, I didn't really like. If somebody probably would have disrespected my wife, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. You're probably gonna get smacked. It is what it is. That's just how it is. And you're lying to yourself. Any brother that I know, you're not gonna do that to him. Now, but I will say, national television,
He's just not the
careers and money. I believe that Chris Rock shouldn't have said nothing to his wife first.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Jada Pinkett shouldn't have let him run up there and do that. However, the shit happens. It brought attention to black couples, because after that happened, now the situation with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett is on the front line, and that again is one of them issues that we need to deal with. These relationships that we living in, where we don't got the code no more. You know what I'm saying? We don't got no respect for each other.
And that's I heard somebody talking about relationships the other day, and they're talking about how people are like, oh, I want a relationship, I want this black love, I want a relationship and stuff like that. Do you really want a relationship, or do you want a companion? Right? Because they were talking about how relationships, when you get into a relationship with someone, that means that you have put yourself in the position and you have signed up that I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to allow myself to be open enough to let this other person check me when I'm wrong, lift me up when I'm right, or just lift me up because when you come in somebody's life, you're either doing one or two things. You're lifting them up or tearing them down, or maybe you're not doing anything. So it could be three, But and then if you're with somebody who is just a companion, oh, y'all can do anything. Y'all can go ride bikes, y'all can go skating, y'all just kicking it. There's no responsibility in having to make you grow, because my job is to keep you company. That's what you want. You want somebody to keep you company, not someone to challenge you. So this whole thing with Will and Jada, I don't know what's going on in their house. I don't live with them. I just know what I hear Jada say, or what I hear Will say. And what I can say about it is, some of this we don't need to know. It's cool to share your black love with people, but some things we don't need to know.
Like,
y'all gotta work on keeping your family together, honey. Y'all got kids.
I think there was a degree of liberation, so to speak, because of the vibration that you take on when you go into certain industries, that you want to find your way back to yourself at some point. And a lot of things you may do, because of the speed that you're living, you may make stupid ass decisions and mistakes because of bills, appointments, status, and all of these different things. Like Andre 3000, like, they put a flute album out and it was like,
and I loved it.
And I don't see no reason for me to be rapping for y'all at pushing 50.
When I'm 50, no, pushing. I think he's like past 50,
But my point being is that we gotta grow up.
Can't stay.
We gotta grow up. Now, Jada Pinkett airing out, Will Smith airing out, I feel like that they had to get rid of some of those things that attached on to them dealing in that industry to try to get some normalcy. Like Andre 3000 was like, yo, being famous sucks. You know, he's like, yo, I like doing regular stuff. Like, I want to get back to being myself versus the facade. The facade, the money that these people they own my name, they own my material, they own me. Like, I need to get out of that. I done went crazy.
Doing this whole charade.
Yeah.
Having to keep up with your expectations and what you think I should be doing.
Yeah, and that's what
let me tell y'all something.
That's to me, that's the great liberation that Jada Pinkett Smith went through. It may be bad for y'all, but for her, she's like, look, I got to get this shit up off me. Here's what happened.
True that. And I definitely can see that, babe.
There's truth in it.
See that. But I will say also, the one thing we have as people, and that's everybody. I don't care, black, white, yellow, purple, I don't care. Y'all, we have got to stop being so judgmental on people. People you don't even know. We're sitting up here looking at these people on social media or whatever and got everything to say about them knowing your dookie stinky. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too freaking judgmental on people that are human. Trust and believe. If anybody had to open up your closet, all kind of skeletons and stuff will be falling out of it. Your stuff ain't
just
clean,
normal, just
and
like
you don't want anybody coming out and saying anything about you. So you got to be thinking about, okay, before you get to running your mouth, okay, what if somebody did that to me, or to my children, or to my family, or or to my husband, or my wife, or my mom, or dad, or whatever, or me,
Yeah, people talking about his kids, like.
Yeah, like how would that make you feel?
You
like,
go overboard doing that.
And we're seeing over and over again a high rate of suicide in our community. That used to not happen, y'all. But now we have a high rate of suicide in our community because of mental health. And I swear to God, I think it's because of social media.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like I mean, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, a lot of people are looking at, if I do something negative, I'm going to get a high rating. If I say this is going to draw some attention to me. And that's become like a kind of sick algorithm. Like, I see some people, like, if you say F somebody's kids, they crazy, like you on some other, like, that's just an effed up mentality. Like, I don't want nothing to do with nobody trashing nobody's kids out here. And just like she was saying, if you got... if you laid your life out on this table, anybody, your life is not going to be squeaky clean.
No,
there's going to be stuff. If you was in Hollywood, oh, you did this when you was this age, you did that, oh, you did this, you're going to have the same kind of attention that the average person has, that Jada Pinkett, Will Smith caught. But we got to stop talking about each other. Like, that's something that what I get out of all of this, that it's necessary for any construction project. Before you build, you may have to do demolition.
Ooh!
So we doing demolition right now, and we do need it. We need to tear down some of these ideals that we did not create, situations we got in and learned it how to adapt. And it became a part of our consciousness, our collective consciousness, because it's collective. Because if you look at this foolishness that we watching and go on Instagram, you're going to see more of it. You're going to see people emulating it. You're going to see kids emulating it. If you see these rappers out, some of these female rappers out here being provocative, you're going to see the ladies following behind. Same thing with the men. If you see these men out here shooting guns and putting, thinking that's cool, because we are really a collective group, whether we like to say it or not, or whether we want to stand out like I'm different than that. No, it's collective because we all deal with the stress of that energy. Whether you like it or not, like I can sit up here and be like, I ain't paying attention to none of that, but I'm affected by it, all of it.
Everybody is affected by it, and it's not even about it. You do what you do. You grown. You know what I'm saying? You're grown. But just know that everything you do, if you choose to put it on social media, it could come back. It could come back to you, or it could affect people in different kind of ways. So I'm not saying if you dress a certain way, do you, be you, be safe in everything that you do, and understand that, and you know what, I don't like to really talk about, what women are wearing and this, that, and the other, because I like to look good for my husband, and stuff like that. I will say this, when my daughter was in high school, and she would get dressed for school, and I'd ask her, like this one particular time I asked her, I said, well, why are you wearing that? What's your motivation for wanting to put that on? Something I didn't buy for her. And she said, I don't know, it looks cute. And then I was like, really? And then she was like, well, and then the whole conversation ended up being that she really was, she wanted the boys to like her. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't really have to, my daughter doesn't have to put any work into anything. She's beautiful the way she is, you know. But it was going to get the attention of boys, you know. And so we have to, if that's your goal, if your goal is because you want a man to see you in a certain type of way because you're owning your sexuality, your sexuality and sensuality, you're being feminine, and you don't have a problem with that, then do you. Absolutely do you. Be brave about it, you know, and stuff like that. Just know that you need to keep yourself safe, you know, because there are crazy people out there that can see your picture and then starts trying to stalk you. Like, people are crazy. And then also think about if you're okay with it, if you had a daughter that did it. That's all I would say. I mean, women, there is a freedom that we want to have in being feminine and stuff like that. And sometimes we taking it too far. But hey, it's me because I'm 54. So I'm not going to look at it like a 24-year-old, you know, like, and maybe some of the older people are not, everybody's not going to agree with me, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. I still support whatever you do or whatever choice you make as a woman. I just say, please be safe and understand that everything you do, everybody sees it, and there could be a negative,
and,
you know.
And also, don't, like, for the OGs out there who's still doing music and who's still doing things, don't be so quick to judge these younger dudes coming up, because a part of the landscape for the way that rap went came from a certain era in hip hop that we lived in, that we hustled in. Most of us hustled. I hustled. I was in the streets the same way most of these rappers are, most of these young cats is now. We just see the outcome of that, and what life looks like after the streets. Mm-hmm. So don't be so quick to, like, talk down on somebody. You know, put your arm around these young brothers and talk to them. Like, I seen Gilly the Kid and his partner, they had one where they did like a session, and he was just telling the brothers about his experience in jail and stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stories that these young bloods need to hear. And even on the rap thing, like, I don't want to say that I agree with all the music, but it's still creative, and it's an art form. And the art form, it takes many different twists and angles. So I don't want to be disrespectful towards the next generation of style, sexuality, or none of that. I want to understand it more the same way that we didn't understand certain things our parents did. There was a bridge that crumbled, and we didn't listen to what they did. So I don't want to follow that same process. That reminds me, like Willie Lynch, like how you break down a family. So be more responsible with what you choose to say to the young generation, because right now it's a good time where, if you're smart, that these things that are going to come to you in this time period are going to be the universe giving you your energy back.
Yeah.
And if you look at it as this is a learning lesson for me. This is a chance for me to transform who I am as a person and climb up out of my trauma, or climb up out of my blind spots, the things that keep me in these cycles. Then you can take advantage of what's going on with the energy. But either way, you're going to face off with who you are and who you don't know you are. Yeah. You're going to find out. Yeah. That's the season we in.
I absolutely agree with that. I do. It made me think of, you know, there's some things I don't do that my mom and my grandma did. You know, like my grandmother, I grew up in the church, you know. My grandmother, you do not leave, you know, out of the house without your thick stockings on, not pantyhose, baby, stockings. I don't wear stockings. I wore them when I was a kid because I had to, but I don't wear them now. That's a choice that I have. When I was a flight attendant, I wore my pantyhose, and sometimes I wear pantyhose because I don't like panty lines. I don't like none of that. I will wear a slip though. You can't see between me and thee, baby. I'm gonna put on a slip. But there are some women who don't wear slips. So it's not saying either one is wrong. It's just saying how you were raised or what you think is best for you or whatever, and you have to be able to not judge somebody from the way I guess they were raised and how they perceive them being comfortable and decent is.
Yeah, because ultimately, like the technology, the era that we in now, technology took control of our children. It started a little while back, but kids is all over YouTube now, and they seeing everything we doing. They on the IG, they got the iPad, they are like
seeing everything,
and you can't even say nothing to them. If you was smoking weed and your kid is smoking weed, you really can't say too much, but you can tell them, hey, don't do that. This is how it made me feel later in life or whatever. Now, I'm not condemning weed because a lot of people smoke weed, but I'm just saying, and you got to be careful what's in that stuff now, too.
Child.
But
I don't know what the heck these kids got. Anyway, I've never been a smoker like that in any kind of way. But anyway, I think. Do you have anything else you want to say? I think we have tackled enough for tonight. But tune in. We got some more good stuff for you. There's so many things we want to talk about. And like before, if there's anything that you would like for us to talk about, or you have any comments, any concerns, any questions, anything that you like, I'm not too sure about that, Charisse and Akachi, that's all right. Let us know. And we would love to discuss it and talk about it. And hit us up in the comments. And also, let us know. I have a question for you. You can put this in here as well. What is it that you do now that your parents didn't do? What is the thing that you like? My mama taught me how to do this, but I don't do that anymore. What is one thing that you do now that your parents did that you don't do? Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I said it right.
All right, peoples. Peace and blessings. Be safe out there.
Peace.